Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. If I hadn't brought enough drama to light regarding my own experience of the LGT, it turns out that Reddit is just the place that they spill their own tea, or the LGT as Elliot would say. What am I talking about? I'm talking about r/Warhammer Competitive, my favourite place on the internet. Anyone who knows me knows that they all hate me there, but I love them so much because they are the gift that keeps on giving. What am I talking about? I'm talking about this thread by TheLGT, the London Grand Tournament GT main event update thread. This has been updated throughout the last weekend, obviously, because there was Europe's largest tournament, which I attended, as you might be aware. And this was like a big update thread about like what was happening in the Invitational, and then what was happening in the main event. The LGT partnered with a podcast called Contact Lost. Now, I'm not going to be talking about their coverage. I thought what they were doing was very cool. I felt like the post-game interviews were really nice, but they did have some problems. I think they managed what they had very, very well, and I think what they did do was very professional. However, the problem I have, or the problem with a lot of people have, is, according to downvotes, is one of the comments on this post. And it's someone commented saying, here's hoping that one of the biggest events in 40k will be able to get at least one table set up for streaming next year. And they reply saying, we are collecting this sort of feedback for analysis for future events, so thank you for that. And then this person leaves quite the thread. And they essentially say, like, again, like, no, I don't want to call out Contact Lost podcast. What they did and what the tools they had, or the tools they were left with, they came up with the best of what they could. But essentially what they're saying is that like having a stream is really important if you're going to do like post-game interviews, because it gives you context for the rest of the event. You know, you can see the top players play. Like having an interview about a match without being able to watch the match is a bit weird because there's no context. You're just talking about like, oh well, I actually won that game because I rolled loads of sixes, where it's way more exciting to watch the person roll loads of sixes. So like this is all like, it's fair like analysis, and it's like, you know, it's fine. The problem is this bit, and as you can see, the comparison is quite daunting. But the LGT official account said all true and valid points, no disputes there. But then they were to say, I will allow myself to quote Tom Adriani, organizer of the World Team Championships, another event without a stream this year, who explains his perspective. Now, I know this person, but the problem is this is a quote, so we can only deem this from the LGT. It might not actually be from Tom Adriani, organizer of the World Team Championships, who also didn't have an event this year. But we're just going to try and take the quote as it is, as from the LGT account, which is who posted it. So it says, it's perfectly understandable. I presume this is to not having a stream. TOs cater primarily to their attendees, as it should be. A proper stream costs lots of resources to manage, a lot of pre-event planning, and isn't cheap in terms of what you get in return of setting it up, except to cater to the needs of those who feel entitled at home. Oh, boys. Oh dear. That's what's unacceptable, really. The sense of entitlement some people have that have zero notion of the amounts of time, effort, and planning that goes into these events that span multiple systems. The entitlement of people wanting to watch your event is off the charts, gamers. Oh, boys. Okay. Where do we start? Okay. I'm going to lay my biases on the line here. I am a streamer, as you might be aware. I make YouTube videos. You should subscribe right now if you haven't already. But I've streamed multiple events around the world. I've streamed in Gibraltar, in the Czech Republic. I've streamed in the UK. And I've streamed the LGT, actually. Yeah, once upon a time, 2019. So not the last event, the event before. I streamed with my team, the LGT. We made a invitational press conference. So guys, welcome to the 2019 LGT 40k Invitational Press Conference, held right here in the Bad Moon Stadium, home of the Hellstorm Leviathans. My name is Lionel Brarium.
And I'm Farrell Sight.
And today we're going to be taking a quick look at the bookies' favourites. So this is like a spoof UFC, like, you know, like shit talk show, right? From some like famous players that you might be aware of.
Stephen Box here from Vanguard Tactics, and I'm very excited to be playing in the LGT Invitational
So a few people that I'm going to be knocking off their pedestal will be Mr. Manny Chima. Manny, I'm coming for you, bro. I'll see you in the final, no doubt. And don't get salty when you lose, bro. It's going to be going one way. That's this way.
Well, bro. Well, bro.
That's a sick stratagem you just used, bro.
Oh, man. Yeah, like so. Big love to Steve Box. I mean, I roasted him in this video. It was very funny. But you should watch that video if you haven't watched that already. As you can see, we've not only did we make that video, we also streamed 9 games of Warhammer.
Commanded
we
by
streamed
the
Invitational,
Some of you
as
may
well as the
recognise one of
main
the ducks,
event.
some of you might not. There we go. So if we just flip back to table 1, Mikey, momentarily.
Table 1, let's go.
You can see that Reese is coming out to play. You see the drop pod in, you see the repulsor out, he's hitting hard on
So you got Reese from FLG versus Ace Face from Twisted Dice. On the other table, you've got Tom Layton from Team Wales and the Honest Wargaming Spy Centre versus Nick Nanavati. You know, they got big names, and this was 3 years ago, right? This is before Nick Nanavati made Out of War. So I've streamed the LGT myself. You know, we streamed the 40k event. We didn't stream it last year. It was streamed by, as I mentioned, the Honest Wargaming. They streamed AOS this year, and then they streamed 40k and AOS last year. The problem is that this post is there's a lot to break down. They say that like a proper stream costs a lot of resources to manage, and I know like Rob has commented on this about what they were paid last year. They were paid travel and accommodation to cover both 40k and Age of Sigmar. When we streamed, I think it was 6 people. When we streamed it, we didn't get paid anything, or they couldn't afford, whether that's true or not, to pay any other expenses. So we as a team took the expenses on ourselves. So we paid for our own hotel, we paid for our own travel. Obviously we were all northern, we were coming from Sheffield and Manchester, we were all driving down to London on our own backs. And we ended up just about getting food paid. I had to argue with it because the food vendors they were supplying, which we did have vouchers for, weren't very good and were queues up to the nines. So we had to go elsewhere and ended up getting those claimed back. And at the time, that was fine, you know. It was one of those things. It was quite literally be paid in exposure. But, you know, for us, it was a big break. We took that on the chin. This isn't what the argument is about. As a proper stream costs a lot of resource to manage, but when you have access to multiple people in this country who can stream the events, as well as further afield, that stream cost becomes very minimal, because to run a good stream, for example, to run my stream, it probably costs in excess of maybe £7,000 to £8,000 in equipment to actually just like go run it. When I streamed the LGT, which I have better equipment now, but I took my entire PC setup, which you can just probably imagine a full editing PC, what that costs, and I had that sat on the floor in an athletic centre. So yes, I agree, a proper stream does cost a lot to do right, but there's multiple people who can do that, and you could do it by yourself, that's totally fine as well, and then it obviously is a lot harder, but the cost that you would incur to buy all the gear to do it is probably cheaper to come to someone like me or someone else, as I've mentioned before, who usually just ask for like hotel and travel costs these days. It's not that much of an expense. So I've never asked for to be paid to cover a stream, to cover an event, sorry. I've always asked for like costs paid for, so like travel costs and hotel costs, and then there's obviously like expenses outside of that which always incurred. I don't ask for like every meal in the evening. If they supply food in the day, I'm like, fancy sorting this out. If not, I pay for that as well. I pay for drinks and everything. There is a cost involved when coming to stream an event for the people who are actually going out to stream it, not just the people who are hiring someone to go cover their event. But you might be saying, Mikey, well, why would a tournament organizer even want a stream? Like, why would they care about a stream? You know, why should they have to pay for one? That's the thing. It's like, it's quite an interesting one, because I'm quite biased, because I do cover events. We have multiple events in the calendar so far. We've got more events coming in next year, like even further afield, and it's really good to go cover them for me, because it builds my name as a brand, right? It's very selfish of me, but at the same time, I can sit and talk to a camera, you know, to hundreds of people at a time. I can sit and play games on the camera, play Battle Report. I could play my Space Marines and smash Tom once again and beat him. And I could do that to hundreds of viewers, you know. And I could go home to my mum and say, hey, Mum, I played Tom and I beat him on camera. And I had like 100 viewers. And you know what my mum would say? She said, numbers are low, you need to sort that out. But not everyone has that luxury. Little Timmy, who's going to his first tournament and sees a live stream and all the cameras and the lights and goes, oh, that's cool. And I go, hey, little Timmy, do you want to play on camera? They can say,
oh my god, I can tell all my friends that I'm playing on camera. They can all root for me at home.
It's kind of like, for the people who have never played on stream or who enjoy playing on stream and don't necessarily have that luxury all the time, that's a kind of like a nice thing for a player to go and play on. To be like, hey, I played Warhammer in front of a live audience. There was hundreds of people tuning in at the time and I won, you know, or I lost, you know, or this crazy thing happened. Here's a timestamp. And that's kind of like a nice benefit for the people at the event. Like the people who are attending, who are paying money to go to these tournaments. Now, there's a thing with like people who do things in Warhammer, like businesses in Warhammer, is that the people who do things in Warhammer aren't business people. They are people who like Warhammer, who just so happen to have turned it into a job. People like me, people like pretty much every shop owner I know, is that they don't realize that marketing in business is wildly important. And in my opinion, again, very biased, you tell me that I'm wrong in the comments and I'm open to discussion. This could be an all like big circle jerk of Mikey set telling everyone that they should stream all their events, and if they want to, they should get in touch with me. But a stream is marketing. If I go to a tournament, if I go and stream the LGT, and that has 680 players or 700 registered players, and I stream that, and on the final game there's a really exciting bit and there's 500 people watching. Let's say it's a good day on the old streaming and I get 500 viewers. The LGT is a very large event, and if there's 500 people watching, that's like 500 potential customers who are then thinking, you know what, that event looks really good. It was streamed really well. It was shown off. It looked really cool. Yeah, I could go there next year. And that's like 500 people who might potentially buy a ticket to the next event. So like in my head, like streaming is marketing, you know? Like not only is it entertainment, it's kind of like one of those things. It's like entertainment, but it's entertainment that makes you want to do it. It's like watching someone play a video game, right? Does he know about the mouse 3 ability? Fuck my life. It's entertainment, but if they're being paid to play the video game on their channel, then it's advertising, right? Like a lot of things, you know? But all of this is just, it's like to say that the people who are watching your event, who are interested in watching your event, they're just entitled people at home and they basically don't matter. That's what this post is essentially saying, in my opinion. It's really missed the mark. A really weird and strange hill to die on. As someone rightly pointed out, I can't find it. I read it 2 days ago. Like all this update, right? All this about what's happening at the event is great. But what it is doing is it's telling you about the event, okay? But who is it aimed at? It's aimed at people who aren't at the tournament. So in this same post, the post which is telling people about the tournament to potential people who might want to come next year, it's essentially a form of advertising. It's getting people, it's generating buzz around the LGT and getting people talking about it. To then go, oh yeah, people who watch at home are just really entitled and that's why we're not having a stream. It's very bizarre because there's a comment on here that basically says, well, if I'm so entitled, I shouldn't watch a stream. Why do I care about the results? And I couldn't agree more with that. Like, why do I care about what's happening at London if I'm just so entitled for wanting to know what's happening in London? It's very weird. But then they go on to say, if you feel there should be a stream, get involved, make it happen, reach out, ask how you can help, go to London and set one up. Now, this is just like a really dumb thing, but as I said, like maybe it is dumb, maybe it isn't. But when I was a very small channel 3 years ago, we went to London and we did do that. But we were approached, we were asked, do you want to come stream it? There's no budget, but you can come down. And I was like, okay, cool, we'll do it. And I took that on the chin. Now, do I think it was worth it? maybe, I don't really know. You know, it was probably good for London at the time, but there's also bad for London because there were things that happened on stream which may put them in a bad light, you know. But the problem is like to just go, if you should be a stream, get involved is really dumb, and it is quite literally the old argument of like, oh, you're an artist, you just eat exposure, because that's not really how things should work, in my opinion. Like, whilst I've never asked for money to stream a tournament, I've only ever asked for expenses paid for. You know, I'm not going to charge you an hourly rate or anything like that. There is a lot of work that goes into streaming. There's a lot of people involved. You know, the regular faces that you've seen and other faces that you also don't see, especially in my own streams. Most of that is pretty much volunteering. You know, it's pretty much people booking time off, coming down and helping out and having a great time. You know, I try to look after them, but it is all expense on me, and then I've got to kind of decide, well, where does that income that covers the expenses such as travel, such as food, etc., come from? And like at the minute there is no budget for that. You know, I just have to take that on the chin. I'm very reliant on the community that has afforded me a platform to be able to do things like this and be able to sit here and rant about a stupid comment on Reddit. I'm very lucky that I have that luxury of people supporting me and be like, you know, paying my wage every single month and then essentially paying my expenses when I want to go and stream these tournaments so I can give back to the community. But that's what it is. I don't really understand what this means. I don't really understand the angle they're going for on a post that is all about showing off the post-game interviews, the results of the tournament, etc. All Setting a Stream does is cater to those who feel entitled, which is such a wild comment. And again, they've had multiple people stream the event now. They could reach out to them again. Maybe they would say yes. Maybe they would say no. But it's not that difficult to find out. It was just a really weird comment. And what was weirder is that they say that setting up a stream is for people to feel entitled and watch at home. But then they stream the finals anyway. I mean, the quality is not great, but they did it. I've seen worse. I've seen much better, but I have seen worse. But there's a stream on Facebook, of all places, of the final. You know, again, no comment to people who are working on it. But to have this and say this is just mind-boggling. Like, what is your angle? What are you trying to say? What is your opinion on this? Is it to shut people up on Reddit? Or is it to say that people are entitled? I don't get it. I really don't understand. I don't know. I don't know what they're trying to do with this. I don't know what their opinion is anymore. But what I will say is that if you want your event streaming, my email's down in the description and I'll fly anywhere to do it. Quite literally, I've been everywhere. I'm happy to do it more. I don't know. That just seems like a dumpster fire. It sounds like career suicide to me. But what do you think? Because that's just my opinion. Again, I've got quite a biased opinion about it because I am a streamer and I think we provide a service that is undercharged. But all it does is it helps the community. It spreads the names of these events that people have heard of or even not heard of, and just advertises them to a wider community and builds the game as a whole. There was a really good segment on Grim After Dark with Val Heffelfinger and the boys, and they went into the same thing. It was kind of like, if we want this game to grow, we need to get more eyes on it, and you're not going to get eyes on it by posting on Reddit loads of numbers that people aren't going to read. Like, quite literally, like, am I going to sit and read this? Look at it. This is an essay of just numbers and names. And not being funny, but if you don't know these people, then who cares? But in a wider discussion, if we want this game to grow and we would like it to be a tabletop sport, we need to show it in a sporting manner. And that's it. If you want to listen to more about sporting and how unsporting people are, you can watch out my previous video. But otherwise, let me know your comments or thoughts down below. So I've been Mikey, you've been amazing, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next one.